Hello, this is Mwalimu Ronald Sakaja and I invite you to yet another exciting revision time. We are revising a number of Kcse papers, and I know if you are a student there, you'll find this very beneficial for you. And straight away, the curtains open and we now get into Kcse Poetry Revision 2013. Now, what came in that year? The poem there is Outcast. It is entitled Outcast. Let me read and we take on together. They met by accident. He proposed the idea. She gave her consent all the way to the altar. The casualty was male and his pigment was pale, unlike his alleged son, who was black with a what? I love the rhyme scheme that is being employed here. I tell you, very beautiful indeed. Accident, idea, consent, altar, male, pale, son, alright? I hope you're getting a glimpse of what this poem is having for us. Let's take it to the next page then. Oh yeah, there we are. The recourse was legitimate. He disclaimed responsibility. So they had to separate. The boy remains illegitimate. Last month, not long ago, they both took their go, coincidentally, by accident. No will, no estate, nothing to inherit. What? Hope you're getting the message here, right? To the next page. The poor boy, is hardly 10 and knows no next of kin. He roams the streets of town like a wind-sown outcast. Now, poetry, like I told you, we have two levels of meaning. We have the literal meaning, and we also have the deeper meaning. And I used two terms. I said we have the connotative and the denotative meaning. Connotative is the implied, while the denotative is just but the surface or the dictionary meaning of something, a particular concept. So here we have this poem here. We are told that two people met, male and female, coincidentally. Now they met. By the way, it was just by accident. And in meeting, they end up coming to an agreement, and of which, what happens? Let me ask you, what happens if man and woman meet? They are not both married. What happens? One will suggest, and then the other will do what? Will consent. For this case, the proposal was accepted, and you know what's the next step then? The next step is marriage. The next step is kuvalishwa pete. Alright. Now, you see, when a person ends up consenting, or rather accepting a person's proposal, this means that the doubts are not in this person about the other. So they marry, of course. They say in Kiswahili that ladha ya ndoa ni nini? Ni mtoto. Finally, the child is born, but what happens? A very big shock. The color of the child does not match the color of the father. So who is to be doubted then? It is the mother, right? So the man decides to quit, he separates, and finally, by bad luck, these people end up again dying in an accident. So this child is left without anybody to call mom, no one to call dad, nothing to inherit. It was just but a very sorry state. Now, let me ask you that we get back and we read it once again. By the way, literature does not entail just reading once. You do it more than once so that you understand the concept very well. Alright, let's get to the poem once again. Outcast. They met by accident. He proposed the idea. She gave her consent all the way to the altar. The casualty was male, and his pigment was pale, unlike his alleged son, who was black with eye. the recourse was legitimate. He disclaimed responsibility, so they had to separate. The boy remains illegitimate. Last month, not long ago, they both took their go. Coincidentally, by accident. No will, not estate, nothing to inherit. Finally, the poor boy is hardly 10 and knows no next of kin. He roams the streets of town like a wind-sown outcast. Wow. So let's go straight and see what question or which questions came in 2013. Let's open this curtain, right? And what was tested by the examiners and then in 2013. What do you think the first question is? There it comes. A. Briefly explain what the poem is about. What do you think the poem is about? And I've given you a sample answer here, students, that the poem is about a couple who rushed into marriage before they knew each other. Now, they didn't know each other. It was just a meeting that was coincidental. It was by accident. But then what happens? What is the outcome of that? They end up proposing and finally to marriage. So the man discovers that he has been cheated by the woman, and the evidence of the cheating is the offspring, the child who is born with a totally different color, not as his. So just like any other person, when you see such things, when you see such happening in your home, then definitely there is a seed of unfaithfulness that has already been manifested. So the couple separate, and after separation they both die, and the child is left helpless. So that is basically what the poem is about. Alright, let's look at the next question. Describe 2 character traits of the mother in the poem. What do you think is the character trait of the mother here in the poem? Was it right for her to cheat on the man? In other words, what do you think? How would we describe her? She gets married, but only to find out that the child she was carrying was not for this very elect husband. So we would describe the mother to be unreliable, deceitful, immoral, promiscuous, and untrustworthy. So that is a trait we would give to her because of what we have seen in the poem. Because she cheats on him, she does not speak the truth and say, please, I got a child and this child is not, could not be yours, it is for someone else, maybe probably a friend, like that. So, again here, she wants the man to accept responsibility for the child that he obviously has not fathered. And the man was right here. I mean, how would you accept to father a child that you know very well that this child is not yours? We also say that she's calculated. She's so much scheming and cunning. How would she just accept the man's proposal that fast? It means that there was something behind the scenes, and that was the pregnancy. She wanted someone to be called the father of the child. She is irresponsible. She leaves no inheritance for the child. Being a mother and knowing that you've got a child, because now the person who has blood relationship with this kid is the mother so much, she should have left some inheritance for the child. But we see that this does not happen. Alright. So, let's see the next part. The next question. C. Explain the meaning of the following words as used in the poem. 1. Disclaimed. 2. Unlike his alleged sire who was black with eye. Now, disclaimed means generally denial or denied. And then the mother's husband is not the biological father of the child. That is unlike the alleged sire who was black with the eye. Now we shall get to know the meaning of eye later in this lesson. So this infuriated the man for being cheated. That is the second line there. It is a lot of, regret, and the man is so bitter about the woman for having cheated on him. Next question says, identify and explain one instance of irony in the poem. Ironical. What is ironical in this poem? Now, irony can be described as the difference between happenings and reality. Okay? Expectation and reality. We have situational irony, we have verbal irony, you see, we have dramatic irony, but then we shall look at that some other time. Let's see the irony here. Now, the birth of the child is again brought out to be the cause of separation. Yet in reality, this should have caused the cementing of the relationship. The relationship should have become now perfect. But this leads to separation. Now, again we see about the child. The pale child is from a black father. There's color difference, so which is quite different from the expectation of the father. And then we are also told that the child is said to be illegitimate, yet the marriage itself was legitimate, and therefore the child is being described as an outcast. He does not belong there. So it is quite ironical. Any other instance of irony? Let's identify. Alright, so let's take it to the next level again, and we see what the next question will be asking. So the next question says, what is the persona's attitude towards the boy in the poem? The persona, how does he feel? Now, I'm sure that we could be sharing also feelings with the persona. You who has read the poem, you who has understood who is the mother, what are her traits, you who has also known the man, the husband, and you who has also been introduced to this child who is hardly 10 years. What do you think is your feeling towards him? Does he deserve that? What are your feelings? So probably we shall share with what the persona also has. Now the persona here, his attitude is quite sympathetic. He pities the child so much, because generally, regardless of what the child is or whatever happens, the child cannot be blamed in anything. The child cannot be blamed for not having the father. The child cannot be blamed on any ground. Rather, this child is just but so much, in a desolate state, in a state of dilemma, where to run to. So here, the casualty, the poor boy, the persona recognizes the poor boy, suffers because of other people's mistakes. So they always say that when elephants fight, what suffers? It is the grass that suffers. So the persona here is really sympathizing the child. He does not know anything about, being a father, who is to be father, who should be responsible for him. He does not know that. So according to the persona, the child did not deserve that kind of treatment. Let's get to the next question. Rewrite the following in your own words. They both took their go. What do you think is the meaning? We are given this statement just before the final stanza. What do you think it means? Alright, according to my answer here, they both died, they both passed on, and we are told that it was again coincidental in an accident. So that is what the persona means by saying they both took their go. Okay, let's go to the next question. Give a proverb which appropriately summarizes this poem. What proverb do you think would summarize this poem? Alright, I have gotten several of them here. All that glitters is not what? Is not gold. And then, hurry, hurry has no blessing. We are told that these people hurried to be married or to marry without understanding and taking time to court to understand each other. The fact is they just met. If they were to take some short time to know each other, then probably the man would understand that this woman is a schemer who only wants a father of the child. So hurry has no blessing. The other one is look before you leap. When two bulls fight the grass, suffer. Marry in a hurry, repent at leisure. Now, take that. Alright, so we are done with the segment of the questions. So let's build our vocabulary. First word there, pigment, coloring substance, a substance that is added to give something such as paint or ink its color. We have the next word there. Casualty, here we always use it when referring to people who are affected in an accident, somebody who is seriously injured or killed in an accident, military injured or dead soldier or victim, hospital, emergency department, a hospital department that treats emergency patients who have accidents or been injured in any way. Alright, then let's look at again this word here. Sire means just to do what? Sire or siredress to king or lord, a respectful form of address for a king or lord. Or probably male parent or four-legged animal, and this can also be used for human beings. You can say, I have sired this. When you remember, that was the river and the source. There is the siring of children. For those who did in 2013, they know the river and the source. Then the last word here, anger. This is extreme anger. Legitimate means in law, it is legal, complying with the law, or under the law, legitimate tax deductions, conforming to acknowledged standards, complying with recognized rules, standards, or traditions, not a legitimate excuse for missing school. So, students, thank you so much. I have been teacher Ronald Sakaja, and see you again next time for another exciting content on English and literature.